Okay, so play some music at your place if you like. To create the ambiance, we'll start grounding those heels, drawing the abdomen, standing nice and tall. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, side bend. You want to feel the heels anchored down, heels anchored down, so that you can feel the length in your body. Inhale, windmill the arms. Exhale, side bends. It's a stretch. And we're getting range of motion in our shoulders. You can inhale through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. Good, go at your own pace. One more time on each side. You can take your feet wider for squats if you like. Squats actually are written into the Pilates standing repertoire. Sit your butt back and down, keeping the knees and toes aligned with each other. You know your body best, so if you want to take your feet wider, turn the toes and knees out more, please feel free to do so. Keep facing forward, or do what works for your neck in alignment. The side view is that my butt drops back and down. I try to maintain a neutral spine, keep the chest up, and reach the arms forward. If it works for your arms and your shoulders, you can try to reach higher than parallel. I'm just keeping my head and neck aligned with my spine. My eye gaze is mostly forward, slightly down. Just following the slight tilts of my torso. You can go at your own pace. We are pretty much warming up, not going to focus on repetition, focus on quality of the movements. One more here. Good. One of the best ways to stretch your hip flexor is the lunge. With your feet hip distance apart, take a nice long stride. Just do your first lunge and then adjust your feet. If your feet are too close, you'll kind of sort of crumple. And if your feet are too far, no matter what you do, you can't get that knee underneath the hip. All right, so feel free to do that first one. Adjust your feet as necessary. The back knee should lower so it's right under the hip and it's a straight line from ears, shoulders, hip, and knee. All right, it's not about necessarily taking the knee all the way to the floor, but we do want to try our best to pull it underneath that hip and feel that stretch in that back leg's hip flexor. Front knee will bend so the knee is right over the ankle. It's behind the ankle, it's over the ankle. Back knee goes behind the hip, it is under the hip. All right, so those are the landmarks that you want to use within the joints of your body. And I know you might not have a mirror to your side, to your profile, but maybe you can see yourself in your Zoom video and use that sort of as an alignment visual aid. Do one more. Again, quality over quantity. Do about 7 or 8 of those. Again, go at your own pace. Same thing. The other thing to be careful about is not turning that back leg out. So we want to keep kneecaps and toes facing forward. Pull that knee. You don't need to touch your butt like I'm doing. I'm just basically showing how the tailbone kind of tucks under. So this is out and arched, and this is neutral and tucked under. All right? Put your arms wherever it helps with your balance. I'm not going to keep looking over at the Zoom screen because technically I want to demonstrate a neutral head position. Couple more. So really just kind of building some heat and warmth in our body. And finally, it's really nice to get the hips opened up. If we've been sitting with our legs crossed all day, or just, with our legs side by side, we haven't really gotten this hip stretch. So take your feet as wide as is comfortable for you. Toes and knees turned out to the corners. And then inhale, sink into one knee. Not letting it shoot past the toes, and then feeling the stretch in the inner thigh of the straight leg. Let's go to the other side. Inhale, down. Exhale, up. brace those abs, keep the chest lifted. Inhale and exhale. You want to engage your shoulders. Have your arms just underneath shoulder heights. A soft bend to the elbow. You basically don't want tension and locked arms here. And you don't want to shrug those shoulders toward the ears. This might help with balance. And I am aware that this looks somewhat like yoga. Good, one more on each side. Now let's just do a little bit of balance before we get down to the mats. You can sort of heel toe, feet in. I'm gonna just turn to the side here. You really don't need to lift your knee too high, but maybe the highest you would go is knee to hip height. So forming that 90 degrees. All right. I'm just gonna keep focus on lifting the front leg. This works the hip flexor. Sometimes there's a tendency to drop the chest as we lift the knee. We're really gonna try to keep that chest up. There is a minimal shifting of the weight to the remaining standing leg. And then I'm gonna add a leg extension. Don't worry about fully straightening your leg, but you lift, straighten as much as you can, firing with the quads, bend, and return. Let's try that 3 more times. Lift. Again, do what you need with the arms for balance. And what happens if we have really tight hamstrings, sometimes what happens is as we straighten the leg, we might round the spine. And again, it's not about fully straightening the leg, it's about keeping that neutral spine. Let's do one more. And it's okay if the knee lowers a bit. So here, notice my knee height. Then as I straighten my leg, maybe my knee lowers a little bit. We are trying to keep that knee up there if possible, but it is definitely challenging. All right, so if I did it from the front, this is what it would look like, which is not super helpful to you, which is why I turn to the side. But for your head and neck alignment, just face forward. You don't need to face side and then turn your head like this, okay? So let's do 4 knee lifts, just focusing on the balance. Abdominals braced, chest lifted, shoulders down and back. And then let's add that leg extension. My hamstrings are tighter on my left leg, so this side is more challenging to me. Last one. Very nice. Go ahead and walk to the foot of your mats, and we're going to roll down and get onto the mats into our high plank. Feel free to go right into your low plank on your elbows if needed. Bend your knees, walk it out. Good. If you're on your wrists, they are right under your shoulders. Eye gaze on the floor. And if you are on your elbows, the elbows are right under the shoulders. I'm going to have you do some hamstring curls. So bend the knee without lowering it or lifting it. You're just bending it so the knees stay next to each other. And then keep the foot flexed. Looks like you're pulling your heel toward your butt cheek, kicking your own butt. Exhale. Inhale. You can actually breathe either way, so as long as you're breathing in and out. So squeezing the butt and abs, just keeping everything nice and still, other than that bending knee. Last one on each side. Good. Go ahead and sit and come to the front half of your mat. Arms reach forward, half roll back, creating that C curve flexion in the spine. Inhale to lift, exhale. Just gonna flow from one move to the other with control, slow, controlled motions. Always breathing. If your shoulders are starting to fatigue, you can lower your arms a little bit. But we usually reach our arms forward just for that counterbalance. And you know, the bonus is that we work our shoulder muscles. I'm going to do some arm sweeps. First, I'm going to sweep low. So there's a little rotation right at the rib cage. Exhale, sweep. So it's kind of like you're making a very shallow and wide U. And now I'm going to do the opposite, which is overhead. So a shallow and wide U or rainbow. You can do any arm variation. You can also keep your arms here. Just giving options. Try to anchor those toes down to the mat. So you don't want to reach so far that your leg pops off the mat. Exhale. Inhale. Last time, last time. And roll down. I have a tickle in my nose. So we're on our backs, and we're going to imprint that lower back and bring the legs up to tabletop. Again, this works our quads and hip flexors, but our abs are stabilizing, holding on to that imprint. Exhale, tap the toe, inhale, return, knees over the hips. Knees staying at 90 degrees. 2 more on each side. Again, reinforcing that imprint, trying to keep tension out of your neck and shoulders. 1 more on each side. Feel free to press those palms into the floor if you need it, especially now when we lower both legs. You might need a little bit more assistance with those arms. The more you press with those arms, the more your triceps engage. Gives you a sense of anchoring, but doesn't help your abs that much, I don't think. That's my opinion. The goal here is not to touch the toes to the floor. If it happens, it happens. The goal here is to maintain the imprint as your legs lower. So if that means pausing at the halfway mark to not lose your imprint, then that's your range of motion. Give me 1 more. Allow the heels to fall towards the butt and then place your feet hip distance apart on the ground. Rolling up into your shoulder bridge, squeeze the butts. Inhale, feel the length of the knees reaching away from the shoulders, and then exhale, roll down inch by inch. Inhale at the bottom, exhale. Inhale. Always nice to feel the mobility of your spine, of each vertebra, lifting and lowering 1 at a time. When we start to really pay attention to what our body's doing, you can almost feel your spine moving inch by inch. Ab prep, nodding the chin, looking at your knees. Exhale, inhale to lower. Definitely want your abdominals doing the lifting, not, your neck, not your arms. Your arms do reach, but not momentum. So you can keep your feet on the ground and also lift our legs to tabletop, knees together, feet together. Start to segue into our hundreds, where we pump the arms 100 times. Third option for our hundreds. And then the last option is legs on the high diagonal. So legs straight and on diagonal. Go ahead and pick your leg position and we'll start to pump the arms. Lift, reach, inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 10, inhale. Exhale, 20, inhale. You can change your leg position anytime. 30, inhale. Exhale. 40, inhale. Exhale. 50. Exhale. 60. You can bend, you can straighten, anything you like in the middle of the hundreds. Inhale. Exhale. 80, inhale. Exhale. 90, inhale. Exhale. 100. So the best demonstration of counting that I ever do is for the hundreds. And now I most likely will not count well anymore. So we are on our stomach for spine extension, the opposite of the C curve spine flexion we did earlier when we did the half roll back. Gently press into those forearms, keep the chin slightly tucked so the head and neck stays aligned with the spine. Reach the top of the head forward, slightly up. And if your legs aren't already active, go ahead and squeeze those quadriceps. Feel the lift just above the kneecaps. Even though the tops of the feet are staying on the mats, it doesn't mean your legs can't be active. Let's reach the arms back. And finally, if you want to lift your legs, it's going to be with straight legs, with your thighs coming right off the ground, engaging the glutes. This is called a hip extension, as well as a spine extension. Last two. Eye gaze always on the floor. Last one. Good. Anytime you need a break, here's a good exercise to do. We call this the shell stretch, which looks similar to child's pose, but the main difference is that you're creating a round sort of shell around an imaginary object. I guess it can be a beach ball. Whereas child pose, usually you're like really sort of collapse and just sort of melting into the floor. That's the main difference. They're both nice stretches. Okay. So we're going to go into single leg stretch. So hugging the knees in, stretching one leg out. If you know you have tight calves or you generally want to work on stretching your calves, you can do this entire series with your foot flexed, reaching the heel out. You can alternate between point and flex. The goal is to have engaged leg muscles all the way through the toes or all the way to the heels. Hands behind the head for supports. And we add a little rotation. Bring the shoulder to the opposite knee. Exhale, inhale. Across the midline, and then exhale to rotate. Try to find a pattern of breathing. Set your rhythm of movement. It sets your flow pace. Good. Again, shoulder to opposite knee. Try not to pull the elbow across. And I'm just keeping my foot flexed, which sometimes just doesn't look as nice, right, compared to the pointed, but yeah, it's a really nice stretch for the calves. All right, double leg stretch, bring everything in, and then usually the variation I do is I just reach the arms right for the ears. Head, neck, and shoulders down if your neck needs a break. But here's a variation of the arms. You sweep down out to the side and then to the ears, and then you sweep down to the side and back to the knees. So it looks like this. Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. So it's kind of a down and up, down and up. And what happens is during this down, it almost like wants to pull your shoulders down if your head, neck, and shoulders are up. So it does create a little more challenge to the abs to do this variation of arms. Now, if you reach just up and overhead, it does feel a little easier because your arms are helping reach up, up, up. Here it's going down before the up. So try the variation if you like. Keep breathing. Let's do one more. It's getting hard. Scissor is always a great way to stretch the hamstrings. And then again, if you want to get stretching into the calves, flex the foot. and switch. Put your head down if your neck needs a break, and then bring it back up when it's ready after it's rested. You will build up endurance of the neck muscles over time, but there's never a need to stress out the neck muscle. Eye gaze on the knees. That's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew. All right. I know your abs are tired, and we're going to continue to fatigue them by doing rolling like a ball. Now with rolling like a ball, the goal is to use your abs to crunch and create a little bit of momentum and movement, this rocking forward motion. So it's not about the legs. See how I can generate all this like motion with the legs? We're gonna hold tight to our legs. I'm gonna crunch shoulders to knees, shoulders to knees, shoulders to knees, keeping my spine curved until I am up. From here, we're gonna do one roll back, one leg extension. So we're gonna move our hands down underneath so that our leg can straighten, okay? So you're gonna feel the drop, crunch up, accelerate. So you're gonna feel like a little acceleration, and then you wanna decelerate. So if need, you roll back, touch your toes, find your balance, straighten your legs. Resets, fall back, roll just underneath the shoulder blades. So I don't even actually hit my shoulder blade to stop like right around here. You basically want to stop the rolling as soon as you go back. So as soon as I start to fall back, gravity's pulling me back, I immediately crunch my way up to reverse the motion. And then again, tap down if you need to, reach, right? And then bend. And if you don't need to tap down, inhale, roll back, exhale, extend, pause, bend, inhale, exhale. I intentionally am doing this while our abdominals are tired so that we can really feel our abs. And because this is not an ab intensive exercise, right? It's not like a super, super hard one. So if your abs are kind of fresh, sometimes you don't feel it, but you definitely feel it when your abs are fatigued. Inhale, exhale, extend. 2 more. Remember, you can't roll unless your spine is round, so really keep the flexion in your spine. Keep your shoulders down away from your ears. Okay, whew. I'm ready for spine work again. So basically all that flexion, that C curve, we have to undo it by working on spine extension. So this is the opposite. We're gonna actually windmill our arms, similar to how we did earlier when we were standing. So you can start with the arms down. Let's keep our legs down for the first one. So we inhale to lift the chest. One of my arms is gonna reach up by the ears, like it's gonna windmill across. There's no side bend though. So just move the arms, reach it back down and lower. Both arms are low. Inhale, lift the chest. Reach the other arm up by the ear. Good. So we'll do a little windmill in a second, but for now, we're just gonna move one arm at a time. So I lift. Endurance of the spine is one arm sweeps over by the ears. Again, I'm activating my leg muscles so my legs are really strong, but also just feeling anchored to the floor. And let's do our other arm for the second time. Good. Now, if you want to lift the legs for this next part, feel free. So I'm going to start with one arm up and one arm down. So it's basically going to look like this, but I'm facing down. Okay. So I'm going to lift everything, windmill, and lower. Now I have the other arm up top and the other arm on the bottom. Okay, they're switch positions. Inhale, lift, windmill, exhale, lower. Inhale, lift everything, including the legs if you want. Windmill, and down. This is similar to what we did earlier, but there is no side bend, mostly because we're trying to keep our spine neutral as, or straight line as we are in extended form. Last one here. Good. Okay. Whew. Let's find our shell stretch again. And remember, anytime you want to grab water, do any modifications you need. Arms can be bent as opposed to straight. Legs can be bent as opposed to straight. So I'm going to do a leg series propped up today, but if you feel more comfortable with your arms straight and your head resting on your biceps, go ahead. When you prop it up, you do change sort of the angle of your body. But what I would say here is not to like let your neck really sink down and bend. So you want to feel sort of a strength and lift in your neck as you do this. And then let's go ahead and straighten out our legs here. If you take the hand off the floor, you do feel less stable compared to this. And that's part of the challenge. And then I'm going to add one more little challenge. So here's kind of my armpit here. You can actually lift up a little bit, right? So there's like space here, and that just creates a little bit more instability. So when I start to lift my leg up and down, go ahead and try a few with this lifted and then with the rib cage down. So here, I cannot get my hand underneath my rib cage. There's no space. And then here, I create a little lift. I push into my elbows a little bit, and I have a little space here. Right? Can you see my hand kind of disappear? Good. So you can try either version, and you can always switch between the two. It's like, oh, I'm trying to lift my rib cage. I'm getting a little tired. I'm just going to lower it for a few reps. You have your kickstand hand too. And part of the reason for lifting the rib cage is because it kind of gets your spine and neck a little straighter. But keep close tabs on how your neck feels. All right, because the goal here isn't to strain the neck. Okay, so I'm actually going to put my rib cage down for the little circles because it is challenging and I'm going to lose my balance, I feel, if I keep my rib cage lifted. And again, if your wrist gets tired or your neck gets tired, just straighten the arm and bring it down. Your leg is going to be working no matter what. The main challenge that the head prop is going to change is when we lift both legs. Reverse direction, slow and small circles. Keep alternating the breath. Good. So when you squeeze both legs together and lift both legs, it is a little more challenging when you are propped up here. And then if I lift my rib cage even more, all right, compared to this. And feel free to try all versions. And you can see head propped up, rib cage down. Head propped up, rib cage up. Just feel, it just feels different when both legs are coming up. And that's kind of the main thing. We're going to do scissors. Again, just going through all the options. You come down, you lift both legs, scissors one, forward and back, one leg forward, one leg back, propped. All right, so giving lots of options today. And basically, anytime we do sideline leg lifts, these are all the options you can take. If you particularly like propping your head up, you do it that way every time. Try to offer variety here and there. Okay, are you ready to move to the other side? You should feel it pretty intensely in the obliques, the top obliques. In fact, if you want to stretch those top obliques, this is a great way of doing it. And let's go to the other side. Sometimes the hardest part of the workout is just flipping 180 to get to the other side. Ugh, just kidding. All right. So same thing. Now, by the way, your elbows may or may not be exactly in a straight line, but hopefully you can't see your feet because that, oh, sorry, why am I starting with that? Just the top leg, just the top leg. You shouldn't be able to see your feet because that would mean your head is tucked forward out of alignment. But you're with your elbow angle, your elbow might be slightly hinged forward. Again, try that, top of the rib cage lift. If you like, it's like, oh, I want some airing out of my armpit here. Okay, little circles. I'll try my best to keep my rib cage up as I do this, but I can feel it already, just wanting to go back down. Keeping that leg up is already challenging enough, so adding to that, keeping the rib cage up, quite challenging. Alternating the breath, in and out. Abs should be engaged, stabilizing. Reverse, slow, small. Nice, constant flow of movements. Okay, so it's time to lift both legs. And it is perfectly fine that when we lift both legs that you decide to come down, okay? You might feel that you can lift your legs higher when your rib cage is down compared to when the rib cage is lifted. And that is, you're probably correct. It is more challenging to lift your legs when your rib cage is lifted. So you might not be lifting it as high, but it's all about feeling the right muscle, and going at the greatest range of motion that you can here, keeping your legs together. And then finally, scissor. A little less stable as one goes forward and back, so sometimes it helps to put the rib cage back down. I don't know if you can really see the difference between my rib cage on or off the ground because it's really not that high, right? You can just, it's like not super visible, but you can feel the difference. Okay, okay, let's sit up and do a stretch again for the other side here. Oof. So going to our hip bridge, that's a hip extension here. So another stretch to our hip flexors. The midline of the body, the line that splits you between right and left halves. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift the leg. If you wanna keep it bent, keep it bent. You're gonna move the leg away from the midline, about 30 degrees out. Return, align to your hip and shoulders, and then put the leg down. And what you're gonna try to avoid doing is as you move a leg out, to not drop the other leg to counterbalance. All right, you want to try to keep your body as still and stable as possible as you move the leg out. Okay, so you can do it with your knees bent. You can do it with them mostly straight. You can do it with a straight. I'm just angling myself so you can sort of see when I move away from my midline because you can't really see if you see my profile. So do a couple shoulder bridges or hip bridges to make sure your feet is where you want them to be. Adjust a little further from your butt, pull it a little closer. Feet should be hip distance apart though. And then from there, we're going to stabilize with our hands. So you lift, check out your right and left hip, make sure it stays still. Now reach the leg up. Exhale, bring it away from the midline. Again, we're not trying to open up both knees. It's just the one. A lot of ab work to stabilize. Bend and lower. Other leg goes up. Inhale. Exhale, away from the midline. Just about 30 degrees, 15 to 30. And back down. Go ahead and lower the butt for a moment. Take a breath. Bring it back up. Inhale, reach. Exhale, away from the midline. Inhale, return. Exhale, down. Other leg goes up. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale.
So what's happening is as both your right hips, they want to be at the same height. The one leg that's down on the ground really has to stabilize. And then you should really feel your abs, because when your leg goes away from the midline, the only thing that's preventing you from falling over is sort of your hands and your abs. Do 2 more times on each side. You don't need to look at your leg. You need to look at your hip. You don't want to see this drop like that, right? Trying to avoid that. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. The quick break and the last set. Hips up, reach, exhale. Keep alternating the breath. Whatever breathing you're doing is right as long as you're breathing. Oops. That one, I started getting a little fatigued and my knee just moved out a little bit. Did you see? You see what I did there? All right, some teasers. You should even do the full roll-up today. But a teaser is somewhat similar to the roll-up. I'm going to show you several variations of roll-up. We're going to do 3 different variations, and then we're going to do 6 more after that. So you can pick whichever variation you want to do after that. First variation, legs at tabletop. No matter the variation, you got to get your arms, head, and shoulder blades up before anything else can happen. We're going to straighten the legs. Exhale, roll up, inhale, hold, exhale, extend, control the rolling down. And that is variation 1. Variation 2, legs start straight. Slight bend is okay. Inhale, head, neck, and shoulders need to come up. On the exhale, you lower the legs and roll up. Bend the knees if you need to. Inhale, hold. Exhale, roll down. And once your lower back hits the ground, before your shoulder blades hit the ground, lift your legs back up and now release. That's variation 2. Variation 3 will be the most challenging. It starts from the ground up. Inhale, arms, head, shoulders. Exhale. Kind of like just fold in half. Inhale here. We're going to open up. My heels are going to start to reach for the floor. My lower back is starting to reach for the floor. And almost at the same time, your shoulder blades and heels hit the floor at the same time. And that is variation 3. Now, variation 3, you can also keep your legs straight. I just showed the bent knee version of variation 3. Starting from the beginning, we'll go through all 3 again. But if you want to do variation 2 and 3 for the remaining number of reps, go right ahead. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Going into variation 2, inhale, exhale, inhale, hold, exhale, control the lowering. Good, variation 3, I bend my knees and get my legs straight. I don't lower it all the way to the floor from the vertical position. Inhale, you gotta get your head, neck, and shoulder blades up first. Exhale, here's the straight leg version. Inhale, exhale. So I don't mind lowering the legs straight from the 45-degree angle because my torso's up. All right, it kind of counterbalances all that. But to lower from here down to here, I mean, there's almost a guarantee that your back will arch off the mat. And that last little bit where you're trying to control the lowering, it could really, really strain your back. So that's the explanation there of why I went from here to here. So I'm going to do 3 more. I'm going to go through all the variations the last time. Inhale, exhale. This is probably the most number of teasers we've ever done. 3 times 3 is 9. Exhale. Wait a minute. I just combined 2 different versions. I'm sorry. I should have ended up here. Excuse me. All right, variation 2. I like combined variation 1 with variation 3. Ugh, I'm so sorry. Here's variation 2. I'm going to take my leg back up. And then the 3rd variation. Okay. Whew. It's kind of hard to talk through all that. So I didn't really talk for the last set. Okay, we are back to, that was a lot of spine flexion. So to undo all the spine flexion, we go into our, spine extension. All right, so we're gonna do a salute. Oh yeah, so we gotta start with our hands here. If you wanna lift the legs, lift the legs. If you wanna keep them down, keep them down. But keep legs active. We inhale, lift. We salute one arm, bring it back. Salute the other arm, bring it back, and lower. It's a little bit of spine endurance because we're keeping the arms and chest up and legs as well for a couple movements. Once again, inhale, lift. Exhale, reach. Inhale, return. Exhale, reach the other arm. Inhale, return the forehead. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Doesn't matter which arm you start with. You want to take turns which arms you lead with, it's fine. And we continue to alternate the breath. One more time, 2 more salutes. Reach, return, reach, return. I am reaching at an angle and I'm trying to get my arm as straight as possible, right? So I'm not reaching like straight here, I'm reaching like here. So it's wherever works for your shoulders. So again, give me a little stretch. Okay, I know we did, don't hate me for this, I know we already did the scissors, I already know we did the obliques, but this is a scissor obliques combo. Okay, I admit it's pretty challenging, but we're gonna try it. So if you bring your legs to tabletop, we're gonna bring our legs to scissor, okay? But it's also oblique, so we're here. So we're gonna rotate. We're gonna lower and lift, and then switch. Lower, lift, and switch. Now, how far do you wanna lower it? Do you wanna lower it all the way down and then back up? It's up to you. Switch. If you wanna bend and straighten, and then switch, you can do that. Bend, straighten, switch, or you can lower as much as you want to, lift as much as you want to, and switch. Now, what maintains the imprint is that our head, neck, and shoulder blades are lifted. Okay, so that helps. Lower, lift, and switch. Lower, lift, and switch. This is the last one. Lower, lift, and switch. We're done. Woo! Oh, goodness. I think we're going to put that in the ab series. That's why I'm doing it later. Oh, all right. I would like to do a plank, another plank. So we did one earlier on the wrists, so this one will be on the elbows. I'm going to have you do what's called a leg sweep. I'll actually just angle my body here a little bit like this. Again, going away from the midline. That's moving away from the midline, moving back towards the midline. Away from the midline, back towards the midline. All right, you can almost like drag your toenails if you want across your floor. Whatever is comfortable for you, or you can lift the leg and move it across in an arc, put it back down. Either way works. So I'm just, if I do a nail drag here. Yeah. So all the weight is off the leg, right? If you lift it, of course the weight is off. But even if you're dragging it, you don't want there to be a lot of friction. So the majority of the weight is on the remaining leg, your arms, and your abs are stabilizing. So it's essentially like you've lost that second leg to stabilize. Again, anytime you move away from the midline, it creates more challenge to the abs. Sweep. And return. Last time. Sweep. And return. Oh gosh. Whew. Oh, I'm definitely sweating. I gotta get AC in. Whew. All right, we're gonna be on our hands and knees. I'm gonna do a little bit of push-ups
And feel free to do more planks if your wrists have any sensitivities. The other thing you can do is if you wanted to do some vertical planks, you can. But we're gonna do some push-ups just to, you know what, we haven't done push-ups in a long time. So your wrists are underneath the shoulders, your body's flat or spine is in neutral, the knees are directly under the hips. And you wanna bend your elbows towards your thighs. And your forehead here aims for the floor, just the head of your fingertips, okay? That's one of the easiest way to figure out if you're doing it right, is where's your forehead about to hit on the floor? And then you don't want your elbows out to the side, you want it back towards your thighs. Now let's do this next one with your abs braced. Maybe your abs are already braced, mine weren't, but it helps to reinforce the neutral spine. Okay, inhale on the way down. Really slowly, take your time. Exhale on the way up. Now the hardest part about the push-up is the pushing up part. But believe it or not, there is equally as much work on the lowering phase if you lower slowly, resisting gravity every step of the way. Right? If you just drop your forehead to the floor quickly, yeah, you basically didn't have to use your muscles. You just let gravity take over. You gotta fight gravity. You gotta be the one in control, lowering down, and then pushing back up. All right, good. Hopefully you felt your triceps. Pilates doesn't usually work on like triceps and like, you know, sort of the non-core muscles. Core muscles are your any muscle attached to your pelvis and spine. However, the idea behind push-ups is that it's usually done in a plank. So you are working your core as you do push-ups. I have just modified those push-ups, so we're doing it on our knees. So you do feel less core work. Oh wait, I didn't want to do this. I want to do this. You do feel less core work when you're on your hands and knees, but it's, you know, push-ups are still really good. So we're gonna do what's called saw. This involves spine rotation. If you need to bend your knees a little, bend it so that you can sit up with a straight spine. So saw is where you rotate and stretch. You're gonna reach across towards your pinky toe. Hang out for a bit. Let's back up, rotate all the way to the other side. And again, stretch. Pilates does not only strengthening exercises of your abs, your spine, your inner and outer thighs, your glutes, but there are also specific exercises that just focus on flexibility. And this is one of them. And I'll admit, I don't do this that often. It's good for me. It's good for everyone, especially how tight I am. But one of the reasons I don't do it often is because I'm so tight, I'm not good at it. Who's ever heard of avoiding things that you're not good at? Yeah, me. I'm guilty too. So yeah, that's what this is. It's good for rotation again, rotation, inner thigh stretch, hamstring stretch, lower back oblique stretch. It is just a pretty good overall thing. All right, one more time to the second side. And we'll wrap up class here. Whew. All right, thank you so much for joining me for Pilates. There's not going to be a class next week because of the school vacation week. So I apologize for that inconvenience.